All right, here in Kenya, the opposition Coalition for Reforms and Democracy failed to secure a ruling that would stop a special sitting that was held earlier today. The court members stormed out of Parliament, leaving the Jubilee members who were able to pass all the amendments. And our Duncan Haemba has been with this story from the very beginning. He now joins us live from our city center studios with an update of what this means going forward. Duncan, it's good to see you. So we just had a press conference a few moments ago from the principals talking about mass action come the new year.
Yes, of course, it was expected, given that one, they knew they were not going to have a second luck in Parliament. On Tuesday, the opposition, in one way or the other, managed to emerge victorious, and you saw the chanting that followed the jubilation, and they were pretty assured that the amendments that were then proposed would not see the light of the day. But today, when they arrived in Parliament, they were in for a rude shock. It turned ugly in there. It wasn't easy accessing Parliament. Even for the media, it was pretty difficult. Of course, everything was shut down temporarily. Members of Parliament fought, and then, of course, the opposition members had to leave because they didn't want to be part of this team that would be actually go down in the record as having participated in that session that paved way for the amendments. So therefore, they categorically said that now they'll go back to the people, and the people who had pushed them to negotiate those electoral laws were through the Monday protests. So they said they'll go back to the people, and therefore their decision that they will begin another round of mass action is not maybe a surprise. That is what they had promised in the event that the government or the ruling Jubilee Party, in one way or the other, has their way when it comes to amending those particular clauses of the electoral laws, Sophia.
Duncan, and those amendments happened this morning, so really Jubilee has had its way already, hasn't it?
Yes, and to be honest, it took less than 30 minutes or so, or maybe even 10 minutes, because we spoke to a few members of Parliament who confirmed that the question was not even put because there was no side to oppose. The few members of the opposition that remained inside the chamber, whenever they would put the question, as to many of that opinion say aye, the ayes of course would do it, then the nays, there were no people to oppose. So the nays were not there, and therefore they just pushed everything, and within a matter of few seconds, literally, they were out. So clearly there was no business. Between 10:30, by 10:15, already they were out chanting. Now they're around, they're singing their victory songs, which means, and by the time the court members stormed out of Parliament, it was shortly after 10. So the whole process took less than 10 minutes or so, and therefore everything that was proposed for an amendment passed as it was, Sophia.
Right. And Duncan, what is it they will be seeking to achieve with this mass action beginning 4th of January? Because we've had Raila say no transparency, no election. How do they seek to achieve that these changes they propose happen?
Both camps are trying to outdo the other. It is all an aspect of trying to safeguard your interests. Remember that the opposition had stuck to their guns and said they will vehemently oppose any attempts to amend the law that would allow the fallback plan, the use of manual register in the event that we have technological hitches the material day of voting. To the opposition, they said that will be creating room for Jubilee. Their claims, that is, that will be creating room for Jubilee to rig elections. On the other side, Jubilee says, and that is what followed the news briefing on Sunday by the Jubilee Party, the National Assembly Majority Leader Eden Duale said that Jubilee is aware of the scheme that the opposition is working in cahoots with foreign governments, and then using some certain individuals, of course they called the name of Michael Yard, to rig the elections using technology, and as such, They said they don't want a situation whereby they go to the polls with only relying on the electronic way of identifying voters. They said in the event that there's a hitch, then we need to have a fallback plan, and therefore we must make sure that we amend the electoral law to provide that room that, yes, priority number one is electronically, but in the event that that one fails, we should have a fallback plan, which the opposition didn't want. So that is where the whole suspicion maybe has brought us to where we are. So it's all about interest of 2017. Remember that it's too close to call. From the look of things, you cannot really tell who has an upper hand with only 8 months to go, and therefore neither side of the coalition or of the political wing wants to take chances, and that's why the whole problem, of course, is with the manner of having that fallback plan, which the opposition said even if they were to amend, then it had to be done procedurally. That is where they differed. So it's all about safeguarding interests, Sophia.
And also we've had claims, from both sides accusing the other that there has been physical assault against members. In fact, some of the members being paraded with injuries. What do we know about this in as far as will they be, filing any cases to have those that had this, undertook the same being brought to book?
For the record, we can no longer talk of claims, but I was there. I saw MPs who have serious bruises, and I mean serious. Embakasi South Member of Parliament was brown all over. He was bleeding even in the news briefing, and I'm sure you've been able to have a glimpse of some of the clips and the still pictures that are doing rounds. He was physically assaulted, that is for a fact. On the other side, also Tigania West Member of Parliament, Mpuri Aburi, that one who almost looks like CORD leader Raila Odinga. Also, he has a very deep cut here, and he was equally bleeding, and the majority leader in the National Assembly, Eden Duale, asked him to formally go and lodge that complaint or report or record a statement at the Parliament police station. So yes, it's true, it really got nasty there, it got physical. That is the reason why, one, the media, we were not even allowed to get anywhere into the press gallery. There were strict instructions that no flash should be seen at any alley. Let me just say the alley, because the whole place was like something else. Total darkness, so many strangers there in terms of security, additional security. So one of the journalists tried to just take a still picture, and the moment the light on his camera went on, they pounced on him the way an eagle would land on a chicken. And that is how they dealt with him. And they made sure that they've deleted all the pictures just to ensure that they don't get out there on the social media. So, and then inside the chambers, of course, there was total blackout, and that's where the scuffle ensued. Of course, claims have emerged. The CORD co-principal, Moses Wetangula, saying that the new members were in there armed with guns. We asked the Deputy Speaker, Joyce Laboso, why such circumstances took place. And she confirmed that the government, or rather the management, or rather the leadership of Parliament, had to do what they had to do just to secure that, to ensure every member is secure. She said that members of Parliament from both sides were heavily armed, all manner of, they knew of schemes of all manner of things that would have happened, and they were very thorough in terms of searching and ensuring that nothing dangerous got into the chambers. However, claims emerged, but in terms of getting physical, yes, it got physical. In terms of injuries, yes, at least several male members of Parliament have black eyes, they are bleeding, they have deep cuts. It was really that nasty, and that is what necessitated the CORD leadership to walk out, or rather the CORD members to walk out, because it was a very, very chaotic scene, which of course the Deputy Speaker, Joyce Laboso, has confirmed and explained as to why such measures had to be taken, Sophia.
Yeah, and allow me to ask, the very vocal and controversial Mbita Member of Parliament, Millie Odhiambo, of course, we saw her on Tuesday during that special sitting throughout the day. But yesterday, today, nowhere in sight. Do we know her whereabouts?
Again, let's say intelligence. She was warned not to get near Parliament, And even the members of Jubilee Party, they said that, and we even had some other stuff that we could not allow maybe to go near, and they were baying for her blood. They said it was given yesterday. It was discussed at length at State House on the fact that perhaps to them she had crossed the red line. And yes, they'd said today they'd come specifically looking for her. And I think somebody must have told her to keep off. And I think whoever did that, and even to her, she heeded the advice, it would have been chaotic. Even when they got into the chamber, she was the one that we understand was targeted. Even how the brawl began in Parliament, Gladys Wanga, we've been told she's the one that now they had settled for. And it is amid that confusion when they were trying to protect her. That's when now male members of Parliament began actually fighting each other physically. So Millie Odhiambo, I think it was a close shave. Had she shown up in Parliament, perhaps we'd be talking of other things. But even after that, after the briefing, around 18 members of female lawmakers held another briefing talking all manner of things against her person and saying that it's not yet done. They are still looking for her. So I think her intelligence, or maybe she got the intelligence, and I think she was told for the sake of maybe her own security, just to keep off Parliament. That is what we can confirm. Many members of Parliament have confirmed to us that she was the main target in the opposition side, Sophia.
Before I let you go, one final question. So earlier, the opposition had sought to get orders to stop the sitting, of course, that did not succeed. Are they going to be moving back to court to overturn what was passed today in Parliament?
There's been a briefing that has taken place at Capitol Hill. I didn't quite follow whatever they've said, but definitely they might be trying to seek redress. Remember that the first instance they were moving to the court under certificate of urgency. They first of all wanted to have the court pronounce themselves on the grounds that they were putting forward, on basically to have somebody explain to them what the Constitution says, under what circumstances can Parliament have a special sitting. So they wanted to know whether whatever was happening today is part of those circumstances as underlined by the Constitution. Remember that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, which supersedes any other act. And as such, a standing order, no matter the number of times it talks about having a special session, if it's in contravention to the Constitution, then whatever has been amended will be actually deemed or will be ruled as a null and void. And that is why they wanted, first of all, the court to give direction whether today's sitting falls under the purview or the circumstances under which a special sitting can be called. So I'm sure that they will not take this lying law. Most probably they will be moving back to court just before the Constitutional Review Division, just to have the matter again looked at afresh in totality. Something interesting, we understand, though it's unconfirmed, that the next battle could be the Senate. And of course, the Senate also has to have a say, because such a law is very, very critical. But we understand there was a crisis meeting that is taking place, of course, another strategy. And possibly the National Assembly is trying to look at the possibility of even bypassing the Senate and ensuring that they push that the law is enacted as it was amended in the morning. So those are some of the things that we'll be trying to follow up, just to see how the whole drama continues to unfold, Sophia.